Everybody, welcome to another week of Available Work. We are right at the beginning, right in the middle of the thick of, or however you want to put it, of the Texas Legislature session number 89. Did I get that correct? Are we 89 right now? This is where we're going at?
89.
I have Michael Britt here. Michael Britt is the director of our government relations for the Texas Workforce Commission. Michael Britt, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Michael B. We're good, man. We're really good. This is a pretty great legislative session that we have in the books for us. It's already exciting. A lot of exciting things happening. Hopefully we are able to capitalize on a lot of momentum that Texas is continuing to have in our business economy. But I think this is a good idea I'm very excited. It's the first one we've had for this year in 2025. So Happy New Year, everybody. January's over and we're already down to business. But I thought it would be a great idea to have Michael B. on the podcast for a kind of a quick rundown on some legislative priorities that we have here at the Workforce Commission, and also just kind of an update or an idea. Just what do you do around here all day, Michael? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Well, first off, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
The role of the Government Relations Department is we are the liaisons for the Texas Workforce Commission to both the Texas State Legislature, who you're just referencing, and also the United States Congress. As it relates to the Texas Legislature, we are the conduits. So when elected officials and their staff have questions for the agency or need information from the agency, they call us. And then we also monitor all the bills that are being filed for this 89th Texas legislative session to determine which ones apply to the agency. And we monitor and report on their committee actions and their floor actions back to the agency leadership to keep everybody informed of what's going on.
Okay, so yeah, as a state agency, we are always a resource to our state legislature and how they create bills and how they affect our working population, our workforce. But you have the added bonus and privilege to kind of serve the federal government and federal Congress because of I'm assuming it's because of the agency's oversight of federal grants and dollars that come in from Congress. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. One of the big pushes that we are doing on this podcast is obviously we want to educate our employers and general workforce population more on these processes. But the idea here of let's talk about the bills that affect the way I say when we live, but basically how we work. And I think that's a little bit more central to what we're here for. But the information that we have provided to employers as a resource is the Texas Guidebook for Employers. Again, y'all Google Texas Guidebook for Employers. You'll find the PDF. Our employer attorneys spend a lot of time making sure these things are current and up to date. And again, just different administrations, different laws, new laws that come in. We have to be on top of educating employers on what those new steps are, if there's any changes to those laws. But how do these bills affect what we do here, and especially specifically the information that we have to be providing to employers?
Certainly. So the bills that relate to TWC and employers in general come from a wide range of different directions, so to speak, during the legislative session. So in GR, we are looking at not only the bills that affect the Workforce Commission as a state agency that apply to all state agencies, but then also affect the programs we administer or our customers, in this case, employers. And so the legislature, as the state's governing body, will consider thousands of bills every session. I think last session they filed somewhere around 7,000 bills total. We're just over 3,000 bills at the end of last week, covering a wide range of topics. But included in those bills are bills that impact how the state does business and how Texas employers do business. And those can vary on a wide range of topics, specific to insurance, tax policy, or just, general how employers in this state need to operate.
So like unemployment insurance, how we affect unemployment insurance in those types of cases. In the 88th legislative session, one of the big pushes or one of the big movements in legislation was like school finance, the school finance for community colleges, and that definitely affects being able to focus more certifiable skills. What did they accomplish back in the 88th? If you can give us a heads up on just kind of a recap of the 88th, and then we'll talk about if there's anything like that happened in the 89th that you've got the pulse on.
Sure. So yes, in the 88th session, as you mentioned, school finance was a big issue, and the legislature did some work on that. Some of that work is carrying over into this session, specifically as it relates to school choice.
Okay.
And school finance is kind of tied into that. So they did some work, but because the two issues were linked together, a lot of that work is going to carry over into this session. There's been a large focus by the Texas Legislature over the past several sessions, and the 88th session was no different, on skills training. So really focusing on the development of a skilled workforce pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
And so last session of note, we saw the passage of the Lone Star Workforce of the Future Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Always tongue-tied.
Yeah.
Try to say it fast. Which creates a new training program that that provides grants to employers or to training providers for certain skills that maybe that training is not picked up by the existing programs we had prior to that, like the Skills Development Fund,
Okay, yeah,
or the Jobs and Education for Texas Fund programs. So that was a big one for the agency that created a new grant program. Last session, we also saw a investment by the legislature in the industry recognized apprenticeship program as well.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That program had been on the books for several sessions, but the legislature had not been able to fund it. And that was something that the legislature was able to fund last session. So and I know the agency's been rolling out here over the past year.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of employers that are pushing or that are asking about it. And I think what do we have? We've got a couple of
some awards, I think 1.8 million.
Yes, 1.8 million that are awarding to the TIRA grant. So, and again, employers, get out the Google machine and Google grants, Texas Independent, or excuse me, our TIRA grants, industry recognized apprenticeship grants, and contact us on how you can get access to this, and we'll help you get those applications out. But so now we're looking more into this. That was a great the school finance. When I say school finance, I'm mostly talking about what the change to the community colleges, the financing, the funding that we give to community colleges and secondary education. I think TSTC is pushing for more legislation on how they're funded. They're funded a little bit different than community colleges, but the Texas State Technical Colleges all over the state I think they're probably looking to expand, which is a great program for anybody looking to get into skills and trades, get into careers like immediately after high school, and start making that money. Let that money work for you too. So, what are your big priorities for? Well, actually, yours personally, but when it comes to TWC, what do you think we're going to be looking at as far as the 89th session coming up or now?
So looking at the 89th session as it's coming up, first and foremost, one thing that guides the trajectory of most sessions will be the governor's priorities.
Oh, his call, yeah,
for the session, his emergency items, because for the first 60 days of a legislative session, that is the only thing that the legislature can take up.
Oh, that's right. In the interim, we were getting wind that this legislative session, obviously, childcare was kind of in the wind.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion the past several sessions on the subsidized child care program and just the child care industry as a whole. So we do expect that will continue to be an issue at the forefront of of the legislature's mind as we go through.
Yeah.
There've been a few bills filed so far. Obviously, since committee work hasn't started, we don't know what ideas they may or may not coalesce around. But there's been conversations not only on the subsidized child care program, but the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that they're looking at, as a major topic as it, impacts not only individuals trying to stay employed or further their careers or join the workforce, but also, for the employer side of them being able to keep and retain their workforce.
Yeah, a lot of employers have taken it upon themselves to get creative, and coalition build almost to meet the needs of childcare and make childcare affordable and keep that workforce going, which is definitely what we need. Let's take a step back and kind of educate. If you don't know, could you give us kind of the I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill type of? Can you sing that song for us? Do you know it all by heart? Is that
I can, but you'd probably lose all your listeners by the time I was done.
That's not a requirement to be the governor. But give us an idea of what just kind of we'll stay on the state side.
Sure.
What's the legislative process when it comes to how a bill gets passed and affects us?
So, taking it all the way back, the Texas Legislature meets only for 140 days every odd number year. So we have there's a limited period of time, and Texas is a part-time legislature. The current session started back on the 14th of January and goes through Monday, June 2nd. How a bill becomes a law in Texas, much like, at the federal level and the Schoolhouse Rock song is, a member will file a bill. The legislature actually started pre-filing legislation back in November.
Right.
That's how we've gotten to just over 3,000 bills filed so far. The next step is each chamber, the House and the Senate, will refer their House bills and their Senate bills to committees. And then the legislative committees will begin the work of holding hearings on those bills, and that's where they'll take testimony from interest groups or other interested parties, people both in favor, potentially against, or like state agencies like us, neutral on a bill. So that they can gather information about these bills that they are considering. And then each committee will make a decision whether or not to advance that bill on to their chambers, either the House or the Senate. At that point, the bills work their way through the calendars committees in the House to get set for consideration on the House floor. In the Senate, it's a slightly different process. The Texas Senate does have something called an intent calendar, but the Texas Senate has a tradition of bringing bills forward when a majority of the body consents to it. Okay. So it's a slightly different process, but to bring the bill to the floor, but then each chamber will consider the bill, and then if they approve it, or once they approve it, when it at any point on the process, I should say, they can amend a bill, whether it be in committee or on the floor. But ultimately, when it passes a chamber, then it goes over to the other chamber, and then the process starts all over again. The bill is referred to a committee, goes through the committee process, floor process again, and then once it's passed there, ultimately heads to the governor's desk for his consideration.
So he has his consideration to veto it or let it become a bill or die on the desk, right?
Yes.
Right. So employers and members of the public, the key to your part in this, not only do you elect your representative here in the Pink Dome, you also have a part to play in this, in the houses or in the rooms that committees meet. When those committees are meeting, they're discussing bills, and the members of the public, it's our right that we can go and be heard. What you like about a bill, what you don't like about a bill. Work through trade associations, or you as a personal member of the public can sign up. You can see the calendars of when these things will be heard, and you can get the you can look up the descriptions and the analysis, and come down and sign up and let the legislatures know why you like it or why you dislike it. And that's us as U.S. citizens, as Texans, being active in our government and helping helping form the way we live and do business in the state. So that's always a huge part of the legislative process. But anything that comes up, this is basically the big chunk of what we want you as employers and you as members of the public to know. And I do think that our elected leadership, members that we elect to represent us, have made good decisions, and they're continuing to make good decisions based on giving us a great economy and low regulation here in the state of Texas. And I think that's proof on the amount of businesses that continue to flood into the state of Texas to take advantage of the low regulations and good economic climate. Explain the special session why I got you here, Michael
Sure,
B.
certainly. So, as I mentioned, the regular session is 140 days every odd number year. If at that, and I should back up and say the only requirement of the legislature in Texas is that they pass the budget. And this year,
Oh yeah,
fun
that's
fact,
important.
fun trivia fact for anybody: the House and the Senate actually take turns on whether the Senate bill or the House bill will be the bill that ultimately passes as the budget. This year is the Senate year, so the budget as it actually passes will be Senate Bill 1.
Okay.
Fun fact, in case anybody's looking for trivia questions. But outside of that, so long as the legislature passes a budget, once they adjourn, sine die, they can be done. Or if there are issues that remain undone and the governor chooses to, the governor can convene them in special session. And how a special session works is the governor will issue a call to convene a special session of the legislature. He will prescribe the date and time that it begins, and then that special session will run for 30 days from that point.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the governor, when he convenes a special session, he will issue the charge as to what issue or issues the legislature can consider during that special session.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in the past, governors can call them for a single issue or multiple issues, but those issues that the governor sets forth are the only issues that the legislature can pass legislation for during that special session.
It's truncated. It's not another 140 days.
No. And at the end of that 30, it ends in 30 days,
Oh, so it's
win,
just 30
win, lose, or draw.
Gotcha.
And if there is an issue that hasn't been completed at the end of that 30 days, the governor has the option to reconvene them again for another 30-day special session or not.
Great.
And we had a few last go round.
Yeah, a couple more than one, I think.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, as an agency that helps to provide resources, Michael, I definitely want to thank you for your work, for coming on to the show here. But also, we've had to we've got kind of a history, you and I, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We go way back, and way back far enough that seeing you around the Capitol after going our separate ways, you used to be my boss, I think, right? Were you?
A very long time ago.
Yeah, it was like 2001.
2001, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 2001, me and Michael, we worked at the Eddie Bauer retail.
Barton Creek Mall.
Shout out to the Retail Association there. Barton Creek Mall here in Austin, folding pants.
Yes, and shirts.
Sure. I didn't get fired, but I folded shirts too. I just wanted to let you know. I was there to pretty much do anything you guys told me to. But I'm glad we're working together again, Michael.
Me too.
Like I said, seeing you around the Capitol, I was like, I didn't go to high school with Michael. I was like, I know I've known him for a long time, and then finally it was like, it was like Eddie Bauer. I was like, that's kind of funny. So good to see you again. I'm very excited to work with you and be working around you here at the Workforce Commission. Good luck in getting our budget, I guess.
Yes.
That's a big deal. So yeah, we appreciate all the work you and your team are doing. But yeah, thanks everybody, and I think that's we're gonna wrap it up. Michael, thank you so much. Lake, thanks for being in Line 5 and coming up with some good data on the TIRA grant. And y'all continue to reach out to us. Continue, employers, ask us questions. Let us know how we can help. And let's call it. Y'all have a good one.